Old, bald, and out of gold. Right? Like the other saying we say, young, dumb, and full of some. Well, yeah, I was thinking about that as I go for my daily walk here in Castelldefels. I was thinking about that, if you get to that age and you have no money, no hair, and no time, you're running out of time. So, but I've well, this happens to some men, I imagine, and I guess there are ways to prevent this or to find a quick solution. Like you can go to the Philippines, where your dollar will stretch a little farther. That's one option. Or you can just be patient, like me. Be patient and try. Oh, this is very dark. I think this is not gonna cut it. But anyway, I'll go through the park. Yeah, the park is very nice. They had a festival last week here. It was kind of nice, although they were playing some, you know, young people's music. Um, so I didn't. I mean, it's okay. It's fun. And there was nice looking people around here. But anyway, going back to that, going back to the subject of getting old, bald, and out of gold. Uh, I really believe that I'm gonna pull it off. I really think I'm gonna pull it off, and even if I mean, because it comes down to attitude, really. I think a lot of it has to do with attitude, and so as long as I manage to have the right attitude, I think nothing is all that. Nothing is desperately important, as they say, unless you say so, right? Unless you say so, you're the judge, and I've learned not to take things too seriously, But it is also true that it's like playing an instrument, or like, I guess this is a technical thing, but you'll understand it. Like, so in order to get the right sound out of a guitar, there has to be the right tension, right? There has to be tuned at a certain frequency, right? And because of that, I mean, in order to do that, you have to pull the strings, right? You need to, right? There has to be some tension. So, in the same way, I feel that my life and your life and our lives, there has to be a little bit of tension. If it's too easy, I mean, my life is relatively easy, but I'm always looking to get in trouble a little bit, to stir the shit a little bit. That way, I can have something to motivate me. Because otherwise, why live? If there is no struggle, if there has to be a little bit of struggle, and more so than struggle, I think there has to be the you have to work towards improving a skill. I think that to me is very important. So that's why I keep playing music, even though I'm not making any money right now playing music. That to me is very important. And also, well, developing other abilities, such as like talking to people, like having social skills, being more or less articulate, right? Not being shy, being able to read the room, as they say, all that stuff. I guess being a political animal, you could say. This neighborhood is well, it's not really a rich neighborhood, but it starts here. It kind of smells a little bit like money, a little bit. It gets better as you get to the other side. That's where Messi lives, on the other side, or where he used to live. He still has a home there. I think he hasn't sold his house yet. So anyway, going back to that, yeah, I guess the discipline, learning a discipline. I was listening to a talk about these people that buy boats in San Francisco, right? And they just keep them there because they don't know how to sail, because the art of sailing is difficult to learn, right? So it's just a status symbol, and good for them. But I mean, I I do agree with that, with the idea that you got to be good at something, especially as a man. I mean, well, I don't want to bash women, women must be good at something too, but perhaps their path is different from ours. But anyway, I don't want to get into that mess because, yeah, whatever. But talking as a man and YouTube, the audience is primarily male, so if anyone were to see me, most likely it would be a man. So, talking as a man, yeah, man, skill. I've noticed that as my confidence improves over the years, um, compared to when I was 20, and I couldn't do much other than, well, show up for a Mickey Mouse job. Now that I got better skills. I mean, not to brag or anything. I'm not saying the king doesn't need to say he's the king, right? I'm not saying that I'm incredibly skillful at whatever, but compared to where I used to be in my 20s, I've made considerable progress, and that's what I could, I guess I could say I could brag about that. But of course, there's other people that are way, way, way ahead of me. And that's just the way life is, man. Sometimes you got to work harder if you're less talented. Like for example, in music, I don't think I'm very talented. I mean, I think I have some talent, but I got to work hard because my talent is not, you know, it's just not incredible. I mean, I'm not Paul McCartney. But yeah, you got to work hard, and I do. Although I know that music is not probably the main thing that I would say I'm good at. I think I'm better at other things. Oh, look at this kitty. Kitty, 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 kitty. Oh my god, I wonder if he's homeless. Kitty, kitty. Ah, he's scared. I don't want to scare him. So yeah, well, you can also talk. I don't want to go too long with this shit, but look at the animals. Like a cat is good at being a cat, right? I mean, I know it sounds obvious, but maybe you don't think about that. I mean, when people say, "Are you good at something?" or "I'm better than you," well, you're better than me at what? You know, like if you're a dolphin, I guess you're better than me at swimming or at surviving in the ocean. I couldn't fucking live. I couldn't make it for an hour even. So it's all relative. Like for example, there's people here that I know that are they're very accomplished people, and then, I'm not hating, hey, I'll give credit where credit is due, I'm not, hey man, to each his own. I do respect their success, but, some of these guys, they neglect some areas, like they're good at certain things, but one thing they're not good at, some of them, is keeping their ego in check, because that's one thing I've learned, like I know I'm good at certain things, but you gotta try to be humble, man, because there's always someone who's gonna be better than you. And even if you were the best person at whatever, there's no need to shove it on people's faces, it's okay. You don't need to. I mean, sometimes when you're insecure, you'll people take advantage of you if you're too, yeah, if you're too insecure and you don't want people to see you a certain way, and you expect, you know, a special kind of treatment from people, you're probably gonna suffer. Somebody might make fun of you, and someone who you might think very little of, someone that you might look down on, like my case, for example. Some of these people, I think they kind of look down on me. They assume I'm just a poor little immigrant, who doesn't know any better. And there's some truth to that, especially when I first came here. There's some truth to that. I've been coming up from ignorance, so to speak, But now that I'm better equipped at getting my shit together, I can give these guys, a good run for their money, I can give them the full treatment, and I can piss them off, which you might think, this is not a skill, but they might be, because I challenge anyone to push my buttons, it's very hard. I think that's one of the skills I have cultivated over the years, because I have a terrible temper, I take after my dad, and I had to fight against that, because when you have a terrible temper, you're vulnerable. People can, you're just, I mean, you're a target, man. It's just that I've learned to control my temper, control my emotions, and I think that is a skill. I don't know if I'm gonna apply it officially, but for sure it has helped me. I can't give details about how it has helped me, because some things must be kept private. But for sure, it has helped me a lot, and it keeps helping me. So that's something I'm good at, and some of these guys are good at other things. Some of these guys are better than me at making money for sure. I mean, I'm not the best person to make money, but I'm very adaptable, and I might not be making the actual money, but I can still enjoy. Um, I can still enjoy what money can buy. Don't ask me how, but I mean, Oh, look at this little park. This is where I was the last time. So anyway, I'm rambling too much, but just all of this to say that no country for old man, and that may be true, but I think there's always hope, and you gotta get your shit together, man, and work on your virtues, I guess you could say. Cultivate virtues like patience. Um, that's very important, because if you don't, you you're gonna be just an eternal teenager, man, and you're just gonna be led by your Johnson, for the rest of your life, like some men are, and hey, more power to them, man. If you got the money and you got the power, of course the women will come like flies, and it's hard to resist that, I imagine. But I mean, there might be a higher or a more noble truth, so to speak, as the Buddhists say. And that is the game I'm trying to play, man. That is the game I'm trying to play. So, all right, well, I'm gonna cut it short because I'm talking too much and nobody's listening anyway. So, God bless you and God bless America.